So there you go again, the PNP raising its ugly head by asking for the resignation of Dr. Christopher Tufton. You know, it's unfortunate when we get so insensitive to crisis in a country to the extent that we stop at nothing when it comes to politics. One would have thought that the PNP would find some time to at least reach out to the families of those who would have lost a child, unfortunately, or even the staff at the hospital who is going through a rough period trying to cope with the shortage and trying to deal with the trauma and the anxiety that comes when you work in an institution that you're losing lives. The PNP saw this as nothing but a political opportunity to go out there and to parade all over Jamaica and asking for resignation. They took it a step further by comparing Dr. Christopher Tufton's tenure to that of the goodly doctor from St. Thomas, Dr. Fenton Ferguson. Now, one must put things in context, and let us be fair when we have these discussions. What took place under Dr. Fenton Ferguson was just as unfortunate as what took place under Dr. Christopher Tufton. 16 plus babies died under Dr. Ferguson's watch. And I think it's about 12 that pass under Christopher Tufton's tenure. Both situations are unfortunate. But what makes the difference between both is the fact that Christopher Tufton was extremely sensitive and caring in his utterances regarding the death of those babies. Right? But when you compare that with the utterances that came from Dr. Fenton Ferguson back then, you would understand why the entire country was outraged and almost every sector of society asking for him to resign. They didn't ask him to resign because babies died at Jubilee Hospital. No, because I think every well-thinking Jamaican know that there are times when there are going to be outbreak of disease and viruses in various areas, and the most vulnerable among us are the ones who are going to be hurting the most. Most Jamaicans know that. People ask Fenton Ferguson to resign because of the words that came out his mouth. He referred to those babies who died at the time and tell the Jamaican people that they were not babies in the real sense. That was the sole reason why the entire country asked Fenton Ferguson to step aside. So when we attempt to make a comparison of the two, the PNP is so far off, it's not funny. They are far off because that's not the reason why Fenton Ferguson had to resign. He had to resign because he made some comments that was insensitive to the lives and to the parents and the families of persons who, of those babies who died back under his watch. When you compare Dr. Tufton's utterance today, he was extremely careful to ensure that persons did not feel like they were neglected and nobody cared about their loss. So that is where it comes on. It's unfortunate that the PNP would go that low in asking and making the comparison for one to believe that the tenure of Dr. Tufton has any comparison at all to that of Fenton Ferguson.